Yes, the Casanovians. Not sure if that part got included or not, but I was saying I was just sorting my bra strap out, make sure my moobs are looking peckish. Anyway, yes, the Casanovians, welcome back. In this stream, what I want to do is I want to walk you through how one of my 50-year-old clients got his first date from Daytime Cold Approach. And hopefully, this story can inspire you wherever you're at, however old you currently are, whatever self limiting beliefs you've decided to carry. Maybe you think you're too old, maybe you think Cold Approach can't work for you, maybe you think it only works in London or New York or Paris. Maybe you think you're ugly. Maybe you think you're too short. Maybe you think you're the wrong race. Whatever it is, I've heard all of these same self limiting beliefs. I've worked with over 200 guys now, and they all kind of started off in the same place. They started off with a lot of anxiety, a lot of doubts, this nagging fear that will this ever work for me? Do you know what I mean? Maybe consuming a lot of content online, getting more and more stuck in their heads, overthinking every move, freezing like a deer in headlights every time they saw an attractive woman, and feeling as though life was slipping away, you know? So that's certainly what it is, or certainly what it was like for the guy that I'm going to talk about in this stream. So we'll call him Freddie, we'll keep him anonymous. But something interesting that I've noticed, I've worked with a lot of guys in their 50s now. They seem to gravitate towards me. I don't know why. But something that I've noticed in all of the 50-year-olds that I've worked with is they've got a strong sense of urgency because they know they don't have the time to piss away anymore. So, in fact, I find guys in their 50s to be some of the easiest to get results for because there's no pissing the time away. Do you know what I mean? It's like, listen, I need to get this sorted. I've still got ambitions to become a father, start a family, find a wife worthy woman. And I don't have the time to piss away anymore. So you say jump, I'll say how high. I'm prepared to do whatever it takes to get the thing that I want. And this was the position that Freddie was in. I remember when we had our first consultation call, he'd worked with a coach in the past. And like many coaches in this space, the coach had promised him the world, but delivered fucking nothing, right? And the problem was when Freddie first tried to learn cold approach, he worked with this other coach. And what happened was he ended up on this weird weekend boot camp where it was him and 10 or 11 other dudes who were just as clueless as he was. And the attention that he was able to get from the coach was limited. So he was never able to have feedback on his actual conversations. They didn't have wireless microphones, so they couldn't listen in to any of his conversations and give him feedback. The feedback that he did receive was based around his body language. And the first couple of approaches that I saw when I was working with him, I was like, dude, those coaches were completely bullshitting you. Your body language is shit right now, but it's all right. We're going to fix it. So he was feeling quite disillusioned. And for him, when we first had that initial consultation call, he said to me, listen, will this work? Like, will your coaching work for me? And I say the same thing to everybody. I say it works as long as you do, right? There's no guarantees. There's no magic bullet. This is not a quick fix solution. If you're looking to do some weekend boot camp and you think that is going to be the answer to all your problems, you're a complete retard. And that's just me being honest with you, because it's kind of like saying, oh, I'm going to do a weekend boot camp to become an Olympian. And after 3 days, my whole life's going to be fixed. It's like, no, motherfucker, you ain't going to get that gold medal unless you work for it. Okay. This is why traditionally I work with my clients for at least 1 year. The in-person coaching is just the start of everything. The in-person coaching will allow you to start to become the version of yourself that cold approach can work for. But it's almost like thinking you're going to become a black belt in jiu-jitsu after 3 days, or even worse, you think you're going to become a black belt in jiu-jitsu by watching YouTube videos and then rolling around with a pillow on your kitchen floor. No, you need accountability, you need no bullshit feedback, and you need other people who are on the same journey as you. So I was very transparent at the start with Freddie. I said, listen, there are no guarantees. I can't magic up a girlfriend for you. You need to become the version of yourself that can get a girlfriend. And that is really what this process is about. It's not learning skills necessarily. It's becoming a different person. It's becoming the version of yourself who can have the things that you aspire to have. Yeah. So if you want to make $1 million, if you want to have a six pack, if you want to have a gobsmackingly gorgeous girlfriend, it's not what do you want, it's who do you need to become to attract these things into your life. And it's not some woo woo law of attraction bullshit. It's decide what it is that you want and level up your character to become the version of yourself who's ready to receive it. Because in life, you oftentimes don't get what you deserve, you get what you think you deserve. And I've found by leveling up my character over certainly the past 5 years, the thing that I'm able to attract into my life now are very different compared to 5 years ago. Because 5 years ago, I was a porn addicted loser who had £24.82 of universal credit in his bank account. And everything I was and everything I had was exactly what I deserved. Like that was the frequency I was sending out into the universe. Go back and watch the oldest videos on my channel and you can see how much of a low life loser I used to be. Yeah. So I said to Freddie, listen, this works as long as you do, but you need to be prepared to give this everything that you've got because there are no guarantees. You will get out of this process what you're prepared to put into it. And he understood that. So we did our in-person coaching immersion in London. And during that immersion, he definitely was given a lot of home truths. Like a lot of the guys that I work with, I see a lot of the same self-limiting thoughts, and also we'll call them sticking points. So in Freddie's conversations, he was too nice, he was too much of a people pleaser, he had these closet heterosexual tendencies where he didn't feel as though he was actually a man in his conversations. He was going into his conversations with this gay best friend vibe, almost like coming off like a good Samaritan. This is a sticking point that guys usually fall into when they're first starting cold approach, is you're just overly pleasant. There's nothing polarizing in your conversation. So you might be getting feedback from the women like, oh my God, thank you so much. Oh, that's so nice. You might get the dreaded shoulder tap like, oh, good boy. You feel like a fucking pug. But this is a rite of passage, okay? I understand what it's like to start off as shit. Yeah, we all start off in shit. It's like in jiu-jitsu. Everybody starts off as a white belt. So even though I'm there to push my guys, because at the end of the day, my reputation is attached to my client's success. So if you've got me in your corner, too fucking right, I'm going to push you because I want you to get rip-roaring success because I want to use you as a success story. I want to get the testimonial. I want to show other people that, hey, this thing works. Yeah, the world is motivated by self-interest. Every relationship to an extent is transactional, right? So it's like, if I win, my clients win. If my clients win, I win. And that's how it is, right? So as we were working together in London, I just tell people what they need to know as opposed to what they want to hear. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm not here to be people's friend. I couldn't give a flying fuck if you like me. I'm here to get results. And if you're associated with me, you will become successful. But it's on you to want it. Yeah, a personal trainer can't lift a weight for you. I could pay $10,000 a year for the best personal trainer in the world. But if I decide to stuff my face with Krispy Kreme every evening, that's on me. Right? I take radical responsibility for everything that happens in my life. Everything is my fault. The success that I accrue, that's my fault. The failures that I accrue, that's my fault. I find it makes a far more sovereign life if you can just take radical responsibility for all the things that happen. Oh yeah, but what if it's raining outside? Well, motherfucker, it's your fault you're in that shit city, right? So do something about it. No one's coming to save you, dude. So during the coaching, I gave him the feedback. There was definitely emotional highs and lows. But by the end of our coaching experience together, he shook my hand. He said, listen, you've given me so much feedback. Just thank you so much for not being afraid to offend me. But then for me, the real transformation happens after the in-person coaching. This is where most coaches in this industry, they don't have a fucking clue. They don't understand how to get results. They just think, okay, I'm going to run this weekend boot camp. Let's get as many guys on this weekender as possible. Maybe they'll get results. Maybe they won't. Then we're on to the next batch of cattle. That's why I do one-to-one coaching. I don't do group coaching because group coaching, in my opinion, is a bunch of bollocks. You'll just be there on a weekend boot camp with some other clueless dudes. You'll be getting coached by 3 or 4 different bozos, and it's just going to be an expensive weekend for you. Individually tailored, one-on-one coaching. That's what drives results. And if you want to see the results that I get from my clients, just type in Christian Casanova testimonials on YouTube, or you can click the link below this video. That'll take you over to my landing page. You can watch my VSL, and that walks you through the entire process that I've already used for over 200 guys. It gets results, but remember, it works as long as you do. So Freddie goes back to his home city in the UK, and after the coaching is finished, really, this is when the transformation starts to happen, because once guys have experienced the one-on-one coaching, they then become part of my private community, the Entourage. So all the guys that I've worked with, all the guys who've had in-person coaching with me, they all become part of this private network of like-minded guys. And effectively what happens when you become part of the Entourage is you're having 30 different coaching experiences all in one, because everybody in the Entourage has been trained properly. Everybody in the Entourage is really fucking good. It's not just me that is helping you to get where you want to get to. It's other guys who, because you might find as well, if you are a 50-year-old guy, if you join the Entourage, you'll meet other guys in their 50s who are sharing stories, they're sharing wins, they're sharing struggles as well. And finding points of relatability, hearing another guy share something that he's been going through. Maybe a guy who's just gone through a difficult divorce or just come out of a long-term relationship, and he's sharing this story in our private WhatsApp group or on the group coaching calls. Suddenly you don't feel like you're doing it on your own anymore. So suddenly you feel like, oh, this guy gets it. Oh, this is applicable to me. If he is 52 years old and he is now in a relationship with a 25-year-old, why can't I do that? What's stopping me? It's like the Roger Bannister effect. You know, Roger Bannister, when he broke the 4-minute mile, everybody started breaking it. But before he broke it, everybody thought it was impossible. So really, the Entourage provides permission. Yeah, permission to get the things that you want without apology. So he's inside the Entourage, and the other weekend, he goes out into his city and he decides to go do cold approaches. But one of the major sticking points for Freddie was he was always worried about approaching in his home city in case he bumped into people that he knew, or the approaches didn't go well, or people saw him approaching and then he got a bad reputation in his city. You know how it goes, right? So he went out the other weekend, goes into his city centre. He's feeling the nerves, he's feeling apprehensive. But what I get my guys to do after they finish their in-person coaching is get yourself out there straight away, right? The next weekend, aim to get yourself out there. And when you are in your city centre, send a accountability video into our private WhatsApp group. So if you're somebody at the moment and you've got a lot of anxiety towards approaching, you've got a lot of self-limiting beliefs, maybe you're worried about other people seeing you approach, you've got this fear of the spotlight effect, one of the best exercises you can do is just record a 30-second video of yourself out in public. And what that's going to do, rather than avoiding the spotlight, you're going to invite the spotlight onto yourself. So that's just going to take a sledgehammer to your social anxieties at the start of the day. So this is what Freddie did. He was shitting it. He didn't want people to see him recording this video. And it's really interesting because the first 3 approaches that he did on this day, they were absolute car crash conversations. The first conversation, the girl didn't even stop. He took responsibility for that. Because he was nervous, he didn't have full conviction behind his stop. The second woman he approached, she looked him up and down and she was like, I'm not in the mood for this right now, walked off. And then the third woman just brushed past him, didn't even acknowledge his existence. So this is where something really interesting happened, because Freddie then sends a voice message into our WhatsApp group, and he said, the old me would call it quits right now. Like, the old me would give up right there. Like, 3 brutal blowouts back to back. If I didn't have this accountability, if I didn't have this community, if I hadn't already have done my in-person coaching, I would just call it a day right now. So as he's narrating this voice message, I send him a message into the group and I say, listen, Freddie, what I suggest you do is have the intention to get a date today. And this is such a monumental shift. And if there's one thing that you take away from the stream, let it be this. If you've already done, let's say, 50 daytime approaches right now, rather than going out with the mindset of, oh, I'm going to go out today to do approaches or have conversations or get phone numbers, go out with the intention to get a date. Because if you start with the end in mind, in my experience, it allows you to get that thing because you set the intention, you've put that out there. But if you just set an intention to do 5 approaches, great, you've done 5 approaches. But if you've got an intention to get a date, it changes the way that you show up in those conversations. You're placing more emphasis on getting to the close. Because sometimes what happens, if you're opening a lot, so you're starting conversations, you're giving compliments, maybe you're carrying the conversations, oftentimes guys can develop what I call closing anxiety, where sometimes they feel weird going for the phone number, or part of them doesn't want to ruin the good approach by going for the number because it almost feels like a new opportunity to be rejected. So a mistake a lot of guys make is they get really good at opening, but they're shit at closing simply because they're opening more than they're closing. So a really easy fix for this is rather than going out to do approaches, go out with the intention to get dates. And I send this voice message through to Freddie, and other guys as well in the entourage are sharing their thoughts. Like, dude, this is completely normal. One of our guys made a really good point where he said, listen, dude, the first 2 or 3 approaches that you do on any given day, they're usually throwaways. This is what I find as well. I don't know if this is the same for you, but when I first go out there for a cold approach session, I just treat the first 2 or 3 approaches as complete throwaways. They don't even count. They're just there to overcome that initial hesitation, to break the social ice with myself, and just to get myself into that godly frequency flow. So a lot of guys, they put unnecessary pressure on themselves at the start. But if you follow my content for a long time, you'll know one of my mantras is the way you start isn't the way you finish. And simply by not quitting, you will get the result that you want. I think one of the greatest characteristics that I see with guys who are successful, not just with cold approach, but any discipline that they want to become elite at, is this sense of doggedness. We speak about this a lot in the entourage. This sense of doggedness, almost being like a fucking pit bull, just not knowing when you're beaten. Yeah, not knowing when to throw in the towel. Like, even if you are down bad and you keep getting kicked onto your ass, just getting back up again, just not quitting. I've seen this time and time again. The guys who get great results, the guys who get the girlfriend, who get the fiance, who get the wife worthy woman, they're simply the guys who didn't quit, right? They're the guys who are prepared to eat shit, do whatever it took, because what's the alternative? Right? If you're anything like me, you probably don't want to use dating apps, nightclubs, social circles. So meeting people in organic, everyday environments, that became the only viable option for me. 5 years ago, I was too ugly for dating apps. Nightclubs were closed, and I couldn't get women through my social circle because I had no fucking friends. So simply by having this mindset of, listen, things might not be going my way right now, but as long as you can go from one failure to another without losing enthusiasm, that's almost like the secret sauce for success, not just with cold approach, but anything that you do, fitness, business, creating content online, just by not quitting and saying to yourself, let's just do one more approach. Because remember, you're only ever one approach away from everything changing. So I send this voice message through to Freddie. I'm like, dude, just have the intention to get a date. Forget about approaching, forget about conversations, just have the intention to get a date. So he perseveres. Remember, the old him would have bailed at this point. So he gets flooded with support. And then within the next hour, he does 9 back to back approaches, just like quick, short interactions. Hey, you look incredible. I want to take you out on a date. Just nothing special, just aiming to get dates. And then the final approach that he does, absolute worldie, she is in shock when he first approaches her. And he's talking to her. He's like, listen, you look beautiful. I want to take you out on a date. And she's like, oh, I'm kind of seeing somebody. And Freddie is like, okay, well, like, is how serious is it? And she's like, well, we've kind of only been seeing each other for a month. And he's like, well, it's not that serious, is it? The world is a strange, interesting place. It's always a good idea to keep your options open. So listen, give me a number. I'll send you a message. You can do whatever you want with that. And this was another breakthrough moment for Freddie as well, because he spent the majority of life being this people-pleasing nice guy, a couple months ago, he would have just thought that, okay, she's seen somebody, that means I can't pursue anything with her. Now, you don't give a flying fuck, right? And I think this is one of the best transformations that I see with my clients. The confidence, the audacity, the nonchalance that you start to develop through repetition with daytime cold approach, it turns you into a socially sovereign savage across the board. Because he was saying after this cold approach session, he went into work a couple of days later, and historically he'd always been a pushover at work. Like whatever people, like if he'd been given extra work to do, he'd do it. He wouldn't complain. He wouldn't speak up. And then he was given a task to do at work, and he felt as though they were taking the piss. So rather than just going along with it because he was scared of rocking the boat, he spoke up. He said, "Listen, I've got too much going on right now. I can't give my attention to this. So find somebody else to do it." And he was saying that feeling right there of finally standing up for himself and saying what he wanted rather than what he felt he ought to say. He said that felt even better than getting this date because he'd spent decades being this guy that never spoke up, always felt as though he was being a pushover, people running rings around him. And he said to me, when he said this to his colleague, he could almost see the respect in their eyes. And he was thinking to himself, wow, I've waited so long for this moment to just finally speak up. I think this is one of the beautiful benefits of cold approach. It's kind of like if you've seen the movie Fight Club, the transformation that the narrator goes through. You know, like when he goes to work and he's got the black eye and people are treating him different. He's walking around with more swagger. He's got that ZFG or zero fucks given mentality now. Cold approach is the most aggressive form of self-development. And when you're part of a community like the Entourage, you've got somebody like me in your corner. Again, there's no guarantees. You'll get out what you're prepared to put into it. But you do start to become successful through osmosis because proximity is power. You, in my experience, you become what you compare yourself to. You know, people are often like, oh, you become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. I actually think you become the average of the 5 people you compare yourself to the most. And that's why the internet's so cool. Like you can find digital online mentors and just consume their content on a daily basis. Something that I remember what I was doing back in 2020. You're probably familiar with Tom Torero, yeah? RIP. Well, in 2020, I remember I first started listening to Tom Torero's podcasts, and I would listen to them religiously every single day on the commute to work, back at home when I got back from work. And something that always inspired me, the cold approach stuff was cool, but the thing that always inspired me, and I think this is a real big reason why I turned my life around to the degree that I have, is I remember listening to Torero's podcasts, and what always inspired me was the international lifestyle that he built for himself. Like one podcast, he was in Paris, then he was in New York, then he was in Tokyo. And I'm thinking, motherfucker, this guy has created something out of nothing, you know, which is what cold approach is. Cold approach, it's like alchemy, right? You turn shit into gold. You are the creator of magical experiences. You are literally just making something happen out of nothing through initiation. I remember listening to Torero's podcast and I just got super inspired by it, dude. I didn't have money back then for coaching. I actually remember, not a lot of people know this. I remember I didn't have a lot of money at the time, but I was listening to his podcast and he reintroduced a different podcast. It was called the Black Sheep Bandit podcast. And there's a podcast, I can't remember which number it is, but I remember I donated £5 to him. And for me, dude, that was a big deal for me back then. That meant I was having to I couldn't get the chicken thighs that day. Fuck me. Sorry, Ali. But I remember I gave him a fiver. And that was more just because, as a thank you, it was the biggest thank you that I could give at that time. Because his content really inspired me. Not necessarily the cold approach stuff, but it was just living this international lifestyle, building something, this like middle finger salute to society. Like, I actually want to do something different. So again, I think you do become the average of the 5 people you compare yourself to. And that's why I think the internet is a great portal to start showing yourself what's possible, if that makes sense. So yeah, Freddie started standing up for himself at work. Happy fucking days. And that final conversation that he did, he navigates the objection like an absolute savage. Like, listen, you might be seeing somebody, but essentially, I'm better. And then he posts the text into the group, and we're just celebrating it. It's like, right, like lads, you know, date locked in. Let's fucking go. And that was just a big moment because he had all these self-limiting beliefs. He thought he was too old. He didn't think he'd be able to replicate the results back in his home city. And he was able to get his first date from his home city through cold approach just by really following the system that we laid out for him. So I think if you're a guy in your 50s right now, or maybe you're younger than that, and you've got these self-limiting beliefs, you're worried, oh, is this going to work? Is it going to work for me? I would just say use Freddie as an example, or use the other clients on Christine Casanova testimonials page. Use these guys as examples because we all start off shit, and really, Freddie's transformation is just starting. Like I say, traditionally, I work with my guys for at least 1 year because there's so much transformation that takes place. Yeah, you do the in-person coaching, you become part of the entourage, you get connected with the rest of the guys, you come to our worldwide in-person meetups, you take on the feedback, you are active inside of the WhatsApp group, and the confidence that you build by doing something like Cold Approach and the accountability that something like the entourage provides. I don't know. I just think it's cool. I just think it's cool to forge this new identity through the fires of adversity, and just that feeling that people are treating you different now. Because you probably know in yourself that you're capable of more. You're probably tired of watching content that makes you feel more lost and confused. You probably feel as though you've got music inside of you that you want to share with the world. And I think something like Daytime Cold Approach is an incredible way to do that. I do think it's the most aggressive form of self-development. And yeah, it's changed my life completely. I would say just watch the videos on this channel, go back to my oldest videos just to see where I started from. And I hope that Freddie's journey so far has inspired you. That was just kind of what I wanted to share today. If you are interested in working with me personally, getting mentored by me, becoming part of my private community, then there's a link below this video that'll give you more information about who I am, what I do, if I can help you, if my coaching would be suitable for you. So yeah, there's a link below this video. Click it if you're interested in working with me. I think we'll leave it there today, lads. So yeah, if you enjoyed this live stream, drop it a like, and I will speak with you fellas again tomorrow.